What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today with my next top 10. So it's been a little while since I did my last top 10, maybe 2 days. So today I wanted to continue what I did on Believe Friday with my top 10 fantasy baseball sleepers, and then today I want to do my top 10 fantasy baseball busts for 2016. So today was opening day, and not a very eventful start to the season in my mind. Not that many close games. I'm a decently big Rays fan. If you guys watch if you watch some of my baseball videos, then you might know I'm a Rays and Diamondbacks fan. And Rays lost today. To be honest, I don't really have a great feeling about the season for the Rays, but I guess we'll see what happens. So go ahead and start at number 10, and I've got the third baseman for the St. Louis Cardinals, and that is Matt Carpenter. So I think that Carpenter, to be honest, I think he's more overdrafted than bust prone. I mean, he put up good stats last year. There's no doubt about that. He's a guy that did put up 20 home runs, I believe over 80 RBIs, but I just don't think the Cardinals have the same offensive support that they had last year. They lost a little bit, namely Jason Hayward, and I just think that's going to take away from the team a little bit. It wasn't a great start today. I mean, I get it. There's still 161 games left, but again, I think he might just be a little bit overdrafted. So at number 9, I got the Oakland Athletics catcher and sometimes first baseman. That's Stephen Vogt. So he had a very good start to the season last year, then kind of cooled off after the All-Star break. He was a hot commodity. He was one of the best hitting catchers at the beginning of 2015. And like I said, he cooled down a little bit. He's a guy that's pretty much been a career AAA catcher, and then had one very good year. I do like Stephen Vogt. I've been a fan of him for a little while. He was a decent player in the Rays system for a little bit, and I just don't think he's worth drafting as maybe a top 8 catcher like a lot of people have been drafting him as. So at number 8, I've got the Colorado Rockies, I believe now closer, Jake McGee. So McGee is a guy that I did like in Tampa. He was playing with a team that is obviously a very strong pitching team. Now he goes to a ballpark that's obviously probably the most hitter-friendly ballpark in the majors, and he's going to a team that is probably not going to win a whole lot of games this year. I just don't like where he's going to. I still think he's a respectable pitcher. I just think there's a lot of things working against him this year. So at number 7, I've got the former Washington National, Jordan Zimmermann. So kind of a down year last year for Jordan Zimmermann. Ended up getting let go. And was he let go last year or was it the year before? But anyway, let me figure this out. Okay, so he's jumping from the Washington Nationals to the Detroit Tigers this year, and he had a very, very, very good stretch from 2013 to 2014, big expectations heading into 2015, and he had an ERA over 4. So the Tigers do have the ability to be a good team this year. He'll probably get some decent offensive support, but again, I just think that the fact that he's still rated above some guys like Drew Smyly, Michael Pineda, Steven Matz, Shelby Miller, Raisel Iglesias, Yordan Ventura, there's a lot of good pitchers that I think will have a better season than him. So at number 6, I've got a guy in a similar situation, the San Francisco Giants, Jeff Samardzija. So Samardzija had an ERA in the 8 range in spring training, after coming off I believe a 2015 where he had an ERA in the 4.5s. Again, similar situation. A pitcher that does have a decent amount of talent had a good 2014, and just people are hoping that he can kind of regain some of that magic. Again, Giants a good pitching club, so people just have bad spring training. Sometimes it happens; they just don't adjust well, or it's just a rut. Or like I said, normally adjusting is just the hardest part. Some people just don't care, and then, like I said, some people just need a little bit of time to get used to the change of scenery. So I'm not saying count him out, but again, he's ranked ahead of a lot of pitchers who I think will have a better season. So at number 5, I've got I think that Houston Astros starter Dallas Keuchel. So I know I'm probably going to get some shit for this just because he did win the Cy Young last year. I get that. I just don't think he's going to win the Cy Young again this year. There's guys like this that come through every once in a while where, they just emerge out of nowhere. Everyone thought that Dallas Keuchel had already topped out in 2014 after having a pretty solid year with the Astros, and then he just got even better in 2015. Now, this pattern goes one of two ways normally. It either sustains itself or it goes pretty far south. And I personally hope that he sustains it. I like what the Astros have built, and I think that they can, carry some momentum heading into the future with guys in place like Dallas Keuchel, like Carlos Correa, and like George Springer, and like Jose Altuve, all-star caliber players that have the talent to be able to lead this team to a World Series. But again, like I said, it's a big risk as him being drafted as a top 10 starting pitcher, even in some leagues a top 5. So again, I think Jake Arrieta's in a similar situation, but Jake Arrieta did put up a little bit better numbers last year. He was the only 21 pitcher in the league. And I think Jake Arrieta just needed a change of scenery outside of Baltimore. But like I said, I'd say if there's any player on here that has the least chance of being a bust, it's Keuchel. But I've got him ranked so high because I think this guy has a big, big boomer bust possibility this year. So in number 4, I've got the former New York Met, now Washington National, Daniel Murphy. So if you guys saw my live draft, I actually ended up picking up Daniel Murphy because he slid like hella far. Like, I think he was ranked at maybe 70 or something like that, and then he ended up sliding to, I believe, around pick number 120. So I was like, fuck it, I need a second baseman. And he is pretty much utilized at every infield position and the outfield. So that does help. But again, this isn't how good of a utility player that each of these guys are. It's just the fact that I think that Daniel Murphy caught a hot streak last year, and I think he will. And I think he could very much end up like David Freese from a couple of years ago, where obviously hot World Series, finished off the year very well. Clutch hero for a little bit, and just kind of bottomed out his. Well, I wouldn't say bottomed out. David Freese is still a talented player, but just never met the expectation that was placed on him after the World Series. And I think it could happen to Daniel Murphy too. Spent like 8 years in the league now, maybe 9. I think he's heading into his 9th, and he'd never broken through in a way like that before. Some guys, it just takes that long. Ben Zobrist was in the league for like 6-7 years before he broke through with the Rays, and he's been good since. So it happens, but like I said, it's really rare. So number 3, I got the Dodgers outfielder Yasiel Puig. So Puig's actually still been drafted as like a top 60 player, sometimes top 40, and people are saying he had a better spring, and I think there's hope, but the stats have been going down since the All-Star break in 2014. He's obviously had attitude problems. He got benched at certain points last year. He's had problems with his managers, and I just don't think that the Dodgers are going to be able to maintain the same support around him, for one. They're still an extremely talented team, but I just think that the signs are pointing down for Yasiel Puig, and could be a long 2016. So, in number 2, I got the Milwaukee Brewers catcher, Jonathan Lucroy. So, Lucroy had 2 or 3 fantastic seasons, and then last year about 2 fantastic seasons. And then last year, just didn't really pan out that well. Batted in the 260s, less than 15 home runs. I believe around 10 or 11. Yeah, let me check on that. RBIs in the 60s, and again, just not what you want. Or actually, 7 home runs, 43 RBIs, and then 264 average. So for a guy that had been batting in the 280s and had been expected to get around 15 home runs, 60, 70 RBIs, it was a big letdown. And with the Brewers having even less support this year around him, again, another regression that I think could continue. And at number 1, I got the Atlanta Braves first baseman Freddie Freeman. So I think this is a combination of 2 things. 1, again, is regression in stats, and 2 is the Braves just pretty much doing a full overhaul. I'm not sure if they're going to build around Freddie Freeman or just going to try to dish him off, but he had a decent season last year, I believe, around 75 RBIs, 18 home runs, somewhere in that ballpark. And here, let's see if I can find that too. 18 home runs, 66 RBIs, so not 76. 276 average, that's why I was thinking 76. So, again, regression in stats, very, very limited amount of talent around him. If they do decide to build around him, hang on to him. You got guys coming up in that system that I like, obviously most notably Dansby Swanson. I was very disappointed in that trade for the Diamondbacks. They could have definitely got a lot more for a guy like that. and I was hoping that they weren't going to dish him out in the first place, considering how weak they are in the middle infield. But that's not the conversation we're talking about. Freddie Freeman, still think that he might be able to put up a decent season, but like I said, he doesn't have much support around him. They're probably not going to be playoff contenders this year. I don't think the extra motivation is going to be there. He might even be on the trading block, so I just don't think he's looking at a good situation this year after regression in stats to begin with last year. Anyway, so that concludes my top 10 fantasy baseball busts for 2016. Like I said, opening day was today, and looking forward to a good baseball season, even though it kind of sucks that basketball, hockey, and college basketball are drawing to an end. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have not checked out my top 10 fantasy baseball sleepers, that will be in the outro, as well as I'll put the link to the entire top 10 playlist, every single video, in the description below. So that's pretty much it. The Kobe teammates of all time. So again, like I said at the beginning of this series, I wanted to do, just come on quick. I wanted to do some topics that are relevant to right now. And with Kobe's career drawing to an end in about 2 weeks, crazy to think.